future of the nation and its competitive future.
Outstanding contribution.
Is the motion seconded?
You should second it, Warren.
I'll second it.
Reserve your right.
He did say he reserved his rights, yes. The member for Cooper.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, what we have here is a classic case of Morrison government spin, a beautifully worded statement that is just dripping in spin over substance. It's the motion's equivalent of a photo op and no follow-through. And who better to bring that to us than the member for Goldstein, who has left the room. And it's good to hear that he cares about climate change, but really, what good is caring about climate change if you have a government who's not going to do anything about it? Let's tell the people the truth. The only climate change policy this government has is one of neglect, inaction and denial. The first line of the motion says that the government is taking real and practical action to reduce emissions while protecting our economy, jobs and investment. Oh my goodness. Every man and his dog are crying out for a coherent energy policy which actually allows for real investment in key industries and jobs. We've had 22 energy policies under this government, and it's no wonder there's such limited investment in energy generation, because why would you when the policy keeps chopping and changing? As Renew Economy reported last week, big global investors say they want to invest $1 trillion in renewable energy over the next decade, a new survey has found. But they are scared off from investing in Australia because policy chaos makes it impossible to predict future returns. Can you imagine what $1 trillion investment would do for our country? The jobs, the jobs, the jobs. The multiplier effect for businesses, for apprenticeships, for actual emissions reductions, and not the fanciful rubbish being put forward here. And Australia is now an international pariah for lack of action on climate change. 120 countries around the world have a target of net zero by 2050. It's legislated in the United Kingdom with a Tory government, in France with a centre-right government, in Germany with a Conservative government, and in New Zealand with, well, Jacinda Ardern. She's wonderful. But this government thinks that they don't need to do that. On the world rankings and the Climate Change Performance Index, Australia ranks 54th out of 61 for climate action and policy. That's just ahead of Kazakhstan and just behind Russia. Every man and his dog, as I said, from the BCA to the national farmers, have backed net zero by 2050. They know it drives investment and will create thousands of jobs. But without coherent climate and energy policy, all this government has done is driven down investment, stymie opportunity to revolutionise manufacturing and traditional industries right across our suburbs and regions. Climate change policy and energy policy is the key to getting green manufacturing going, sustainable manufacturing going across our suburbs and regions, building jobs. Just saying, oh, you know, it's technology and stuff, won't cut it. We need specific action, we need real action, we need real policies. Now, the claims being put forward by this motion that updated forecasts show Australia is on track to meet and beat its 2030 Paris target. Well, for this, I've got to turn to a fantastic article which just rips the government report to shreds. To quote Adam Morton, the first thing to stress here that these are only projections. The report tells us what we might expect to happen under current policy settings. It's frankly weird that primacy projections have been given in the public debate, given what matters is actual cuts. In terms of the actual numbers, the bottom line is that at a time when other countries are announcing increasingly ambitious targets, the government expects national emissions to fall by only 6.8% this target. Well, Deputy Speaker, targets can be meant if they're crap targets. But actually, as Morton says, that projected top is almost entirely due to a surge in electricity production from wind and solar that the Morrison government has tried to slow, not accelerate. In other areas of the economy's projections suggest that there will be no change in emissions over the next decade, despite what the member for Goldstein was just carrying on about. So get real. The fact is that when Labor was in government over a 6-year period, emissions reduced by 15%. When the Coalition's been in government over a 6-year period, emissions reduced by 1%. Stop taking credit where it's due. You need to tell Australians what you intend to do to make sure we play our part in reducing emissions, because frankly, catastrophic climate change is a problem that needs to be seriously addressed.
The question is the motion be agreed to, and I give the call to the member for Ryan.
Thank you very